Okay, welcome back to the Pale Wizard YouTube channel. After the roaring success of our last ranking discography episode on David Bowie, we decided to continue to do this, so we're going to be...
No one's listening to these videos, or watching them, sorry.
Well, no.
It doesn't matter.
We're doing it, so it's a vanity project, so we can
it's
look
just
back
fun, isn't it?
in years and see what we thought about certain things.
See how much we've aged.
See how much we've aged. So we're going to be doing Faith No More. This is my choice for the first episode of the a band that we haven't done a tribute album for yet. I mean, who's to say if we're still doing this when we get to 50 years later?
That would be funny, wouldn't it?
The late 80s or early 90s. You never know.
Yeah.
It's possible. So there's only 7 albums, so this might be a shorter video if we waffle less.
So Faith No More, when did you first become available? When did you first become aware?
What are you asking me? I don't know. I think I don't really remember a first time with Faith No More for me. They've just been a band that, as long as I can remember listening to music, I've liked. It's probably going to be Epic, isn't it? I'd have thought that I probably would have heard Epic on something or other back around then, because I wouldn't have been aware of the Chuck Mosley stuff before.
For me, it was the drummer in the band. One of the first bands I was in, Darren.
Yeah.
He had the Angel Dust tape in his car, in his Ford Escort. He used to have that on quite a lot.
Yeah.
I remember I'm thinking, oh, who's this? And who's that singer? He's really good. And then probably shortly after that, I think I seem to remember seeing them on, is it TFI Friday, something like that?
They did do something like that, didn't they?
So Dig in the Grave or something like that. But I remember thinking they kicked ass.
Or was it The Word? Were they on The Word?
They were on a few
shows. It was one of those kind of Channel 4 pop culture kind of shows that I remember seeing them.
I think they might have been on both, actually.
They probably were, yeah.
And when I really got into them, when I started taking a proper interest in singing myself, because I realised what a good singer he was. When you try and sing his songs, the moment I did get into them, they split up.
Yeah.
So I never saw them live in that initial period.
Until that moment when we did see them live. When was that? Donington?
2012, was it? No, 2009, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We went for the day, didn't we?
Yeah.
For the Faith No More day.
2009 when they got back together.
And they came out they did Reunited, like cover.
It was brilliant, yeah.
That was the first live moment we saw them. They were brilliant. They were.
Yeah, they were so much better than they deserved to be. I thought, considering they'd been away for so long.
Yeah, they sort of came back on firing on all cylinders, and then of course a couple of years later the album came along, which will be at some point in here. So before we start, have you got any predictions? What do you reckon?
I don't want to say.
You don't want to say?
No,
I've got an idea, but I'm not going to say.
I mean, there's only 7 albums, so this was a much easier ranking than Cooper and Bowie.
I think
it's quite hard.
That it was hard. My favourite album has changed 3 times, I think, over the course of my fandom of this band.
Yeah, so, mine has.
I think it's matured with me. I think because as I've got older, I kind of my opinions have changed.
I've changed my.
So it'd be interesting to see where the others fall in the ranking. I've got a feeling what I think yours might be.
Okay.
Again, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to be proven. I've got
a
very strong feeling what's going to be bottom.
I know what was your favourite album, and it's probably still that, but I might be wrong.
Okay, should we crack on?
Yeah, I know what's going to be first.
I know what's going to be. I'm going to do first one. I know what's going to be first. It's obvious, isn't it? Really.
It's going to be this one on top.
I would have thought so, unless I'm very much mistaken. Imagine if it wasn't. Wow. Well, yes, we care a lot. 1 point from you, 1 point from me for 2 points. So this is the first Faith No More album from 1985. One of the 2 albums with the late Chuck Mosley on the vocals.
God bless his soul.
Hell of a singer. Very talented guy. Very troubled guy as well, I think, from what I know about him. But What can you say about this album?
It's definitely got the building blocks of what Faith No More are going to go on to become. That goes kind of real punchy drums, Mike Bordin, with the kind of metallic guitars of Jim Martin, and Chuck Mosley's voice is great. Because this is cool because it gave me a reason to listen to this again, because I haven't heard this for years. Because I always thought it was just the kind of the poor cousin of Introduce Yourself.
And it is.
And it's got that version of We Care A Lot, which sounds way too slow.
It sounds way too slow because you're used to the one on Introduce Yourself.
Exactly. But having said that, listening to this again, I really enjoyed it. I forgot about a lot of the songs, like Arabian Disco, As the Worm Turns, which is a great song.
Yep. And those are songs they've played live in the Patton era as well.
Yeah.
Haven't they, I think.
And Chuck Mosley's vocals, like listening back now, you think there's more going on there. He's kind of like purposely out of tune, isn't he? Like John Lydon would be in Public Image.
Yeah, he's a punk singer, isn't he? He's different. He's a different singer altogether to Mike Patton.
I hear a lot of Public Image in this.
Different fit to the band. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, there is a lot. There is a lot. It's not a great album. It's not got a great. Matt Wallace produced it. I don't think the production is. It's not outstanding. It doesn't bring out everything as.
I've got to say, having listened to it again, it sounds a lot fresher than I remember.
I wouldn't. I mean, comparing it to Introduce Yourself, it's nowhere near as a strong sound.
This is really hard to find when I got into Faith No More. This CD, it was. I think I probably paid a bit of money for this. It's probably been re-released since, hasn't it? Or
I thought so.
This is probably
really cheap. They've all got
probably.
nice spangly editions, haven't they? So
my old editions are at home somewhere,
Yeah.
and I bought these deluxe ones that came out, which are really nice. Have they done a deluxe one of this?
I don't know. They should do.
They should.
They absolutely should.
But yeah, I think it's a typical first debut album. But it's got loads of it's got those Roddy Bottum keyboards, and it's definitely them. It still sounds like Faith No More.
It does, yeah.
Right from the off.
Yeah. Very unique sound.
But I'm not surprised it came last.
But it's not a bad album, but it's nowhere near as good as anything else they did.
I love Arabian Disco on it. I think that's a great song.
Everything else is a big step up, including the next one. Whenever it is we come to the next one.
Well, this will be interesting.
Yeah. This will be interesting. From here on in, I think we knew, didn't we, that We Care Alot was going to be first.
I found this really hard ranking Faith No More. Because I
had a strong feeling of what's going to be top and a strong feeling of what's going to be bottom. How to rank the rest was.
You've got a strong feeling of what's going to be top, have you?
No, well, for me personally.
Okay,
sorry,
right.
Talking personally of
right. So number
how
6.
I did it. Number 6
is Sol Invictus. So what you gave this 2?
Yep.
I gave this 3.
Yep.
Excuse me. So this was the last album.
This is the comeback.
2015, 7 years ago.
So it's been that long already, eh?
It's crazy, isn't it? Really good album.
It's great. Far too short, but great.
I mean, it's far too short in the CD era. In the
been,
LP era, it's just right.
If it came out in 1971, it would have been brilliant. But imagine if it did. Imagine the
And again, it's
got a song called Motherfucker on it, for God's sake. I mean,
that's the one thing I don't like about it, actually.
Oh, really? I didn't like that song when I first heard it, because wasn't that the lead single that they used to
they played
promote
that at Donington, didn't they?
Yeah, and
Roddy Bottum was singing it, wasn't he?
It was a bit but the actual Patton's vocal on it is obscene.
Goodbye, motherfucker.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's epic.
I think I'm getting old. I don't like swearing now.
No,
in songs.
Oh, you do enough of it other than that.
Well, but in
songs.
In songs, I just I notice it now.
It doesn't shock me
because I listen to a lot of the stuff in the car. You see, because it's my best opportunity to listen to stuff.
So you sort of skip the ones when the kids are in the car.
Well, exactly, the kids in the
car,
and you forget, and I go, got to turn this off. You know,
you don't want them singing along to.
I thought it was just not so much the swearing. I just thought it was the least interesting song on there.
So my favourite track on this is Black Friday.
That's great.
Which is
Buy it. Yeah, really good.
That could have been on King for a Day.
Yeah. Sunny Side Up.
Sunny Side Up is
that's
a
great.
tune.
What's the last song on it?
It leaves you sort of wanting more. And I think that's the main weakness for me, looking back on it. And,
Yeah.
if they'd have done another album, and who's to know, they may well do another album. You know, are they done? Who knows? We don't know with them.
Did it feel like
From the Dead was the last track?
Yeah, that's great. That's like
Yeah.
that kind of. Is it like is kind of Mexican sounding one? Am I getting that mixed up with something else?
That's Matador, isn't it?
Matador.
Yeah.
Yeah, From the Dead. Oh, it's got a great hook on From the Dead. Vocals are brilliant on that.
I think the vocals are consistently brilliant throughout this whole album.
It sounds more like him doing his Tomahawk kind of stuff. Because obviously Mike Patton's done a ton of stuff since.
He's a man of many bands, isn't he, Mike Patton?
Yeah, for better or for worse, really.
Well, I think they've all got their merits.
I mean, you know, we could do a ranking of that at some point. You know, the Mike Patton projects like Phantomas and Tomahawk and Bungle, and that would probably be quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, and that really good sort of loungy album that he did.
What, the Lovage one?
Yeah, and there was that Italian.
Peeping Tom.
Oh, Peeping Tom, that was brilliant. That hip hoppy one, that wasn't it? There was that Italian sort of what was that called?
That's.
You can see the album cover.
Yeah, I've got it.
Like a blue.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
What's
it called?
I don't remember.
I need to know now. Do you remember that bloody awful one? I bought the CD on import. Do you remember there? Was it like Adult Lessons for Voice or something?
Yeah, well, those. There was another
voice?
one like that, wasn't there? Which was
that kind of classical one they did.
Yeah, really bad. Well, it's not. It's just not.
Sounds
I think
like,
it's kind of influenced by like Diamanda Galas and all
Right.
that kind of sort of throat singing and weird shit like that.
it's not the kind of thing you can listen
Not
to.
the kind of thing you put on to chill out and relax. Mondo Carne.
Mondo Carne, yeah. There was that Tomahawk album as well. Do you remember? Was it Tomahawk actually?
Tomahawk.
Or was it Phantomas? Do you remember that one that was like one track?
That's a Phantomas one, isn't it?
Because that's when we were working together, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's just
like,
it's just a sort of atmospheric kind
sounds of a morgue or something.
Yeah.
And do you remember all the artwork in there? It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
That's one of the only CDs I've taken back to the shop. I shouldn't have kept. It's probably worth a load of money. That now.
Probably is now. Yeah, probably is.
Stupid, really.
I think we sort of diverged a little bit there.
Oh yeah, sorry.
We're talking about
Sol Invictus.
Yeah, Sol Invictus.
It's a great album.
It is. All of these albums.
To say that it's the sixth best probably sounds like we don't rate it. I really do rate it. I think it's maybe one or two songs short of being a brilliant album.
Do you think that if we did this again in 10 years, that you might have warmed to it even more and it might come in a bit higher?
No, I don't think so.
Because I think, like I said at the beginning, I think my opinions have changed. Definitely with what my favourite album is. They've matured. So maybe because it's, you know, they're older and they're more mature on this record. So as I get a bit older, it might go up, because obviously the real thing is full of youthful vigour, isn't it? And this isn't in comparison.
Well, that's just, and it comes with, you know.
Do you think you can change your opinions with age? Like
I don't think I will change my opinion on this album. I love it.
Yeah.
I'd say actually one of my only criticisms of this album is that, to me, it sounds like the music was done in one studio.
Yep.
Separate from Mike Patton. It feels to me like, and I think that's probably the case. Billy Gould and the other guys probably did it all in one place.
I think that's the age of the internet, isn't it? Now that they.
I think they sent the tracks to Mike wherever he was. They might be in the same studio. I doubt it. It's probably his own studio, and he probably did the vocals separately. So it sounds great. I just feel there's a little bit of it could have, if they'd had the opportunity to jam it in a room a bit more, they probably could have fine-tuned the songs a little bit.
So you think
like
that
Superhero
would benefit from that kind of energy of them all bouncing off each other?
The song Superhero, it's great, but I think it drags on a bit.
Yeah.
And I think if they'd had an opportunity to play that live a few times, I think they probably would have trimmed the fat a little bit on that.
That one made the album even shorter.
Nothing wrong with short album.
I don't know. I think it needed enough. That's what I don't think for me it's long enough. It's all over in 32, 33 minutes.
Is that how long it is?
It's not that. It's not much longer than that.
Are you sure? I think it felt longer to me. Have a look.
Oh no, it's 40 minutes.
40 minutes. You see, it's a perfect LP length.
Matador is a longer track. It's 6 minutes long. Yeah. Maybe I skip Matador then when I listen to it because it does go on a bit.
Yeah,
Superhero is over 5
yeah,
minutes.
Superheroes was the one that felt like it overstayed its welcome
Yeah.
to, and it's great.
Whereas Black Friday, 3 minutes.
Yeah,
19,
that's
so
banging.
that's the one for me because
That's
it's
banging.
the 3 minute song, 3 minute
Yeah.
hot tune. Okay, I think that's covered.
Cool.
Sol Invictus. Me next.
You next, number 5.
Number 5.
This is interesting.
Faith No More. I think it might be. No, I'm
Introduce
not going to
yourself.
say. I'm not going to say. It might be. Yeah, it is. Introduce yourself.
Okay.
So 2 points for you, 4 points for me.
4 points for you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the other Chuck Mosley one.
Yeah. Great album.
This contains my favourite Faith No More song.
Mine too.
Yeah, and it's Anne's song.
Yeah.
Which is the greatest Faith No More song. So
It is the one song that me and you get gay over.
It
really.
is, yeah. It's an amazing song. It doesn't sound like anything on any of the Patton era
No.
Faith No More albums.
It's definitely Chuck Mosley's song, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think it's his. For me, it's his signature. kind of
Makes me
tune.
think of Mallrats. That song. I don't know why.
Well, it's from that kind of era, isn't it?
Yeah, just I don't know. I get shades of like malls and I don't know 80s haircuts.
It's almost a bit sort of rap, isn't it? Like proper, like Beastie Boys-y kind of from that era.
It's just got a real happy vibe about it.
But it is, yeah. It's relentlessly upbeat.
Yeah, I love it. I love that song.
Other than that, it's got the obviously Introduce Yourself.
Mm.
We Care a Lot on here.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Mentions the Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
I mean, what more could you want?
Transformers.
Yeah. And Crab Song, R&R, Chinese Arithmetic. It is full.
It's a really good album.
Much more sort of fully complete.
I love
record
the
than the first
artwork
one.
as well. It's just like boom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I really struggled with where to put this because
Yeah, me too. Actually.
because of my feelings about another album, which we'll talk about when we get to it.
Right. Okay.
Which is why I put it 4. I gave it 4 points. I put it above another
Above the
album.
real thing.
Well, yeah. If you want the spoiler, then
Yeah.
yeah. That was the real struggle for me with where to put those two, because my feelings on the real thing, which I've got a strong suspicion was going to be next.
Right. Okay.
I might be wrong. You might love it more than I think you do, but my feelings on the real thing kind of have cooled over the years, where this stands up. I mean, it's that age-old thing for me between like the songs that I really, really like because they're on this album, or whether an album is good because all the songs are they're quite good, and that's the situation. Like the strongest songs on here are better than all the songs on Real Thing for me. The Real Thing probably hangs together better as an album,
Interesting.
but for me, it's all about those strong moments. That's when we did Bowie last time. Let's Dance came in at number 1 for me because those strong songs.
I think the production on
Dance.
this is better than the real thing. It's
Yeah.
a real punchy production.
Well, for me, that's one of the minor points of the Real Thing is it doesn't really sound as strong
There's
as
a
it
bit.
could be.
There's a bit of a thin sound on it.
One of those albums that you're crying out for, like some kind of rediscovering of the tapes and like a remaster.
I think there's a story there
Yeah, I
about
think
the
there
production of the real thing.
Mm,
But Introduce Yourself, great album.
yeah, love it. I love them
Okay,
all.
well, so
Really. This was hard, very hard.
so that was number
So that was number 5.
5.
Yeah. So
Is
this.
it?
Yeah.
How many albums?
There's 7 albums.
7. Oh, we've done Sol Invictus, yeah.
Sol Invictus. So I'm going to think this is going to be the Real Thing.
So you think this
I
will be
think
the real
this is
thing?
going to be the Real Thing. I'd be surprised if it isn't.
All right.
I'm prepared to be surprised now.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
The Real Thing,
Yep.
1989, Matt Wallace.
Yeah.
I gave
Matt
this,
Wallace did all their stuff.
I
didn't
gave
he,
this
at that
5.
point? You gave this 5. Yeah.
and you gave us 3.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is your this is your third
yeah,
favourite album.
yeah, it wasn't up until recently.
Interesting.
I did.
Why?
I listened to all these again,
Yeah.
all of them,
Mm-hmm. Well, as did I.
and I just think this is a great album. It's got
It's a
some
great album.
brilliant songs on it.
It does have some brilliant songs on it.
Obviously, it's the introduction of Mike Patton. Now, Mike's voice sounds like he's trying to mimic what he thinks he should do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit more nasally, It's still a great voice, but it's more. It's got that 80s kind of, I don't know, stadium rock thing about it.
It's that, yeah, it's that...
bit childish kind of.
Well, this is the kind of era where they were a stadium rock band, I suppose.
Yeah.
They were getting that way. They were huge, weren't they, at this point?
And do you think a lot of the music was written pre him coming into the band?
I strongly suspect that it was, yeah.
Obviously they you know, for whatever reason they got rid of Chuck Mosley.
Do they do writing credits? Or they just say written by Faith No More?
I don't know, actually.
I've got a feeling you'll find that, you know, this is a Billy Gould, Jim Martin co-production, isn't it, this, like, songwriting wise?
See, and so, yeah, Jim Martin's really on fire on this album. It's one thing that's missing from the later albums for obvious reasons. It's got his, you know...
This is Jim Martin's finest hour.
Possibly, yeah, possibly, yeah.
I think.
Well, what comes after this is much more of a tug of war, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think he bowed out at the right time. But we'll get to that when we get to Angel Dust. Let's talk about what we like. What do you like songs-wise on here?
Well, this is full of great, catchy, massive singles from out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Straight in. Again, it's lacking the production, which is a shame. Epic, obviously. Still sounds great.
Yep.
Fallen to Pieces, another one. Surprise You're Dead, I still like. I love the video for that. That's obviously Mike Patton showing that he can do thrash metal, you know, he can do Slayer, that kind of thing. Zombie Eaters.
Yeah, I'm not so keen.
The Real Thing, I love The Real Thing.
Real Thing's a great song.
Great live.
They played that at that show, didn't they, I think, that we went to.
Now, the cover of War Pigs is the cover of War Pigs.
Now, this wasn't always on here, was it? I don't think. Was there a version of this album? Am I right in thinking that War Pigs was added on at a later date?
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
I thought it was.
I wasn't aware of that.
I don't like it at all. I think, again, I remember when we were talking about the Bowie one last time, when cover versions that come in the middle of an album just take you out. And this is such a faithful cover version.
It is very. I don't see the point.
I'm listening to Faith No More. I don't need to listen to Black Sabbath.
I didn't see the point in doing a studio version of it. I could see the point in them doing the live version, the You Fat Bastards thing.
Yeah.
I could see the point in that because in a live situation it works, and it's great live. And Mike Patton's great at doing it, isn't he? Because he can really hit the notes.
Well, he can actually sing, yeah.
You know,
to hear that with a proper singer on it for the first time ever.
He gets the lyrics wrong as well, doesn't he? On the live version.
On the live version
he starts going da da da.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I know a lot of people who love the version of War Pigs. I'm not a big fan.
It would have been a good B-side.
So yeah, there's a couple of things that just bring it down for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Production being one of them.
The production is my main issue with it.
Now. It's got about 6 or 7 just brilliant songs.
More than any other album of theirs, it sounds of its time now.
It does. And his voice, obviously.
Yeah, and there's, you know, that whole kind of rap, funk kind of... there's this whole thing with them and the Chili's.
Yeah.
Obviously, Faith No More do it so much better.
Well, yeah, in my opinion.
In the opinion of everyone with ears, I think they do it so much better.
I never understood why they got.
But yeah, I think this is with the
was
era
it
when
Faith
the
No More, or was
started.
it Mr. Bungle that were getting problems with Chili Peppers?
I think it was Faith No More.
Was it Faith No More?
Although it probably was Pat. It was all from around that era, wasn't it?
I'd love to hear more about what went on, because apparently Chili Peppers were insisting that they get thrown off the bill of certain gigs.
Threatening physical violence, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
It's pathetic. I'm not a big Chili Peppers fan. I used to like some of the albums, but I never really understood the comparisons, because on one hand you've got a band, really tight band with a great singer. On the other hand, you've got the Chili Peppers, you know, like Keyboardist, he's just sang flat for about 40 years.
Yeah, one of the most annoying voices in rock music. It's something, I mean, it's unique, but it's uniquely annoying for him to say that when Patton went into Faith No More that they sort of bit their style is ridiculous, because Patton's voice is wide-ranging, interesting and brilliant.
Must have been quite a shock for the people who were into the Chuck Mosley era stuff when Patton came in.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who were really put off by Patton.
Well, people that knew Mr. Bungle from before as well. I mean, they were a small-time band, weren't they? But obviously, if you hear the Bungle stuff from before Faith No More, it's quite extreme.
I imagine a lot of the punk the kind of punk fans who were into Faith No More were totally put off when the real thing came out.
That's what they were. Well, they changed what they were really aiming to do, but they changed it every time afterwards.
Didn't they have Courtney Love singing for them?
She sang before Patton, didn't she? At some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if any recordings. I don't think they do.
No.
I don't think there's anything. Maybe she just sang at shows for them. But yeah, you can't really compare Faith No More and the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh no. No.
Some people try to.
No, they're two totally separate entities. But yeah, okay, cool. So what's okay? This is going to be really divisive. I think whatever happens now.
Yeah, I think it is. Because there's no ties. They're all.
So you know that I put the real thing above one of those other albums.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah.
So that's going to change things up.
No, I think I've got an idea which one it would be.
Like I said, I've changed my mind recently. So this might upset you.
Okay, so King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime comes in number 3. You gave it 6 points, I gave it 5 points. So I think that's kind of what I was expecting.
Okay.
It's kind of what I was expecting. This is where it's...
We shall see.
We
shall see.
This used to be my favourite. When I listened to metal more, this is the heaviest Faith No More album. This used to be my favourite album.
Me too.
Because it's so good. But all of these albums are so good. The heavy bits, Cuckoo for Kaka, Ugly in the Morning. Listening to them now, they're a bit of a row. But they're heavy songs, the heaviest songs I think they probably recorded. But then it's got stuff like Take This Bottle on it. And then there's iconic songs like Evidence, Dig in the Grave.
Yeah.
My favourite song on here is Just a Man, the last track, which is probably one of his top 3 best vocal performances, I would say. What a great album cover.
Yeah, great. This album, having listened to it this past week, actually went up for me.
Oh really?
Yeah. It used to be my favourite, then it went down, now it's gone back up. It sounds better than I remember. I always used to think the second half dragged on this album, but actually I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The Last to Know is a bit, and What a Day feels like it goes on a bit too long.
Yeah, it does.
But then you got Get Out, Ricochet, Evidence, The Gentle Art of Making Enemies, Star ID I like, Cuckoo for Kaka I like, Ugly in the Morning, Dig in the Grave, Take This Bottle. I mean there's like 7 or 8 songs which are just some of the best things they've done, and there's a real rawness about this album. It feels like they've just turned everything up, and I don't know, but obviously what this album doesn't have is Jim Martin.
Nope.
So you've lost a little bit of the, I don't know.
No, I was thinking about this because I think he went at the right time, because obviously there was a lot of aggro, wasn't there, around the Angel Dust period. I think if he'd had stayed, he would have been a negative influence on the band. I think he kind of would have dragged them down. I don't think they would have made an album as sort of eclectic as this, and that's what he was kind of against with Angel Dust, wasn't it? Because Angel Dust is even more kind of all over the place than this one is, and that's a direction that Patton's interested in going. I think that Roddy was interested in going in that direction. So I think Jim Martin wanted to be in a metal band, or he wanted to be in maybe like a funk metal band. And I've got a horrible suspicion that if they'd have carried on with Jim Martin, they would have turned into what the Chili's are now.
You think?
Or something.
Do you think?
Approaching that, which I wouldn't have wanted to hear. I think he went at exactly the right time.
We'll talk about that when we get to Faith.
Trace Brurance's stuff on here is...
It's clinical, isn't it? And it's punchy.
Yeah, he's not my favourite guitar player in the world.
No, and obviously he's on the album, but he never played with them, did he? Because he doesn't like gigging.
No.
He's a lazy bastard. But who's the guy they went out with on that tour?
Did Hudson do it then?
No, I don't think he did. They had the guy with the goatee. You remember? I've got a picture of him somewhere over there, I think, actually.
Bring your picture then.
I know. I can't remember what the guy's name was. Really good guitarist. I think he only lasted that tour.
Yeah.
And then I think Jon Hudson came in.
Yeah.
I think. Because obviously in the album it's just the four of them without no guitarist. And you can definitely hear more of Mike Patton's kind of stuff coming through.
Yeah. I think the Patton won the fight for creative control, didn't he, with Jim Martin? Quite, and this is a kind of like a statement.
Do you think that's where the friction was between him and Jim Martin?
I don't know whether it was him or Jim Martin or it was Roddy Bottum.
Roddy Bottum as well, I think. I think he had an issue with Jim Martin.
But I think Roddy Bottum and Roddy Bottum and Mike Patton are more of the same mind.
Maybe.
Yeah. When it comes to like the eclectic sound.
Mike Bordin always struck me as just being happy to go along with.
Yeah, exactly. I think he is.
Yeah. Billy Gould. He kind of runs that band, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, he's the head of it.
Excuse me.
I think as it goes on, he becomes the producer as well, doesn't he? He takes like control over the creative side of it. So, there are these. I mean, Roddy Bottum is known for having quite a strong creative. His own band, what are they called, Imperial Teen?
Yeah, I never really got into that.
They've got a very striking image. And
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Did he do that Is it man on man thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to that, but obviously, it did take something away from Faith No More and Jim Patton. You know, you can't deny his absence is notable, isn't it?
Notable,
for better or worse.
It's different, isn't it? But then because Angel Dust is what Angel Dust is, I don't miss it. I don't miss him not being on the albums after.
But the thing like King for a Day, you can't really compare it to any other bands of that time or now, to be honest. When you think when it came out, it was grunge ruling the roost, wasn't it, everywhere? It's pre-new metal.
Yeah, it was before. Well, it is quite kind of groundbreaking when it comes to new metal, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they get name dropped, but then they don't sound like any new metal band. There's nothing new metal about that.
No, already dropped it. No.
So it's very hard rock, isn't it? It's not even metal.
It's got metally bits on it. It's got the heavy songs on it, but it's not metal as is metal. I mean,
I guess it's got the kind of raw, punky attitude. I guess you could say Napalm Death, kind of a slight influence, and but no, really. But
anything that's kind of left field, you can compare it to, but it doesn't sound like anything else, and it doesn't sound like anything else they ever did again, as well. So it kind of stands alone. And like I said, it was my favourite. It's not anymore.
Okay, so number 2.
I know what is my favourite. Do you think
I think I know what is your favourite.
Yeah.
So what's going to be the second?
I've got a feeling it's going to be...
Come on. Make your guess.
Angel Dust?
Album of the year.
Yeah,
I knew this would be your favourite.
Right. So what have you given this?
I gave this 4.
You gave it 4. Right.
Great album.
Yeah, it's the best one. Yeah.
But having listened to it recently, it slipped down a bit for me, actually.
Interesting.
It's the second half of the album. Drags a bit.
From what? From Ashes to Ashes onwards?
Let's have a look. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, pretty much.
Explain yourself. This is.
There's a few songs on this, like the first half's great, and then when it gets like Mouth to Mouth, She Loves Me Not, Got That Feeling, Paths of Glory, just boring.
Okay.
It sounds like Mike Patton by numbers, that one. I feel that the band's running out of ideas, and they quit at the right time. But, having said that, it's got some of my favourite Faith No More songs. Last Cup of Sorrow, Ashes to Ashes, Collision, Strip Search. I love all those songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Paths of Glory, Homesick Home and Pristina.
Okay. I'm not offended. I do like those songs.
Do you love them? You said this is your favourite Faith No More album.
It's my favourite Faith No More album. I love the sound of this album.
But do you love those songs?
I don't love those
10,
songs.
11, 12.
I
Last
really
three
do.
songs on the album.
I very, very much like all the songs.
Got
that
That Feeling?
released. I love Got That Feeling.
Do you?
Yeah. I've loved Got That Feeling more than like The Last Capacity Glory, Pristina.
That's the only thing that drags it down. So that last kind of 3 songs in the album are just...
Now, so we know what's number 1, all right, at this point.
Yeah.
So let's just compare these, because obviously it's Angel Dust.
Okay.
So
what did you give this?
I gave this... Oh yeah, you gave it 7, I gave it 6. This is my second.
That's
Again, an album that at one point was my favourite Faith No More album.
Yeah. This was my favourite.
Yeah.
For many years, actually.
Yeah.
It's only in this past, little while.
Week.
Pretty much. Listening again to that.
Did you think I think Tim's going to put that at number 1? So if
No,
I
it
want
wasn't
Angel Dust
that.
to win, what I need to do is...
I listened to them all,
Yeah.
and I just found myself nodding off a bit by the end of this album.
Really thought that long either. It's only 12 tracks.
Yeah, they just seem to go on forever, those last
Doesn't
3
Overstay as
songs.
Welcome. They are long songs.
The high
though.
points of this, I love the production on this.
The high points
The
of
guitars
that
are thick.
are the highest point. I mean, Hudson is... I think he's my favourite of the guitar players that they've had.
Did he play guitars on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is on there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of like skews it towards album of the year for me because I love the sound of it. I think it's the best production they ever
It's
had.
a really good, slick,
Yeah,
classy.
you can tell it cost a lot of money. I think it was one of the most expensive albums
Was
of
it?
the 90s. I think it was. Yeah.
Really?
Did I read that somewhere? I'd say Strip Search is my second favourite Faith No More
Is it?
song after Anne's song. Yeah, it's by far my favourite Patton song
Good video on that, wasn't
and
it?
a great video. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Kind of like
It's got that electronic influence.
yeah,
hasn't
it has. Yeah, but the video is it's like a bank robbery thing, isn't it? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Where it's all
Yeah. Is it in reverse?
in reverse. So it kind of like reminds me of Memento. The film.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very
it's quite.
very clever.
I always
Um,
wonder though that those old promo videos from anything kind of recent. I wonder if there's good versions of them out there because you can't find good versions of them.
I
can you?
know. I've
It's
been
all VHS.
watching
and
a lot of music videos recently, and yeah, some of the quality on YouTube is appalling.
You wonder if they're
Like,
preserved anywhere.
surely this is on tape somewhere, and
Yeah.
even like a lot of artists' official like Vivo channels
Yeah.
that have uploaded stuff, and they're uploading them in the most dog shit quality.
Yeah,
whereas
they've obviously got them off some shit.
480p,
Yeah.
and it's just like this is unwatchable. The sound's
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah.
the videos are just And again, I would buy like a remastered Blu-ray of all the Faith No More videos.
Oh, I'd
on,
love to
wouldn't
see
you?
that. I'd love to
Wouldn't
see
you?
that. So, okay, so talking about classic videos,
Yeah.
going on to Angel Dust, which we've agreed together
Is the best one.
the best one. And that's not too, you know.
It's not
it
at
was
all
your
controversial, is it?
It was
Yeah.
your second.
It was
top.
my favourite,
Um,
probably 10 years ago.
I think for me, everything I love about Faith No More is in Angel Dust.
Everything, it literally is in Angel Dust, isn't it? Everything but the kitchen sink
Yeah.
is in this album.
Mike Patton's found his voice. He's the gulf between his voice on the real thing to this, it's unreal. It's like he's suddenly just completely changed everything up. And so yeah, it's Jim Martin's still in the band, and that's what makes but it's what makes for a compelling album, I think, because you can literally hear him trying to squeeze in a solo and trying to bring in some riffs, and you can feel like Roddy Bottom's going no and trying to do the keyboards, and the rest of the guys just trying to pull it all together, and that's what makes it a great listen, I think.
It's kind of like the sound of a band that probably don't really like each other very much at this moment, and
It makes for a great
but
album,
making for a great album. Yeah,
and it is all over the place.
it is. It's got a song that I absolutely love on it. It's probably my third favourite Faith No More song. Everything's Ruined.
So I was talking about
great
videos.
Great
I
video.
love the video for that. It's such a feel good. I don't know. You see all the kids singing along,
Yeah.
and the band just like running away from the green screen. It warms my heart.
I don't understand why that wasn't a massive hit
Oh.
song.
It's just
Like-
I remember when I first met Sarah, she'd never really listened to Faith No More, and she loves that song now.
Hmm.
It's just a brilliant song.
But I can't say that they're. I mean, Land of Sunshine, I love. Caffeine, what a song.
Brilliant.
Midlife Crisis, obviously, it's iconic.
Again, that should have been a top 10 hit, shouldn't it?
RV is brilliant.
Hilarious.
It's very left field.
And his baritone voice he does on that is just incredible. It shouldn't work, but it does.
No, yeah. And then, of course, Everything's Around, smaller and smaller. Malpractice is great. Be Aggressive. Now, this is the song that
you hate that one, don't you?
Strongly dislike. I remember not liking it when I first, heard this album, and now I sort of dislike it even more. It's it's just annoying. There's something about that kind of chant, that kind of American sports kind of cheerleading.
Obviously, it's a vulgar song, isn't it? And
well, it is, yeah, and it's very much a Roddy Bottum song, isn't it? It's
quite clearly,
quite clearly, for better or for worse.
Yeah, the lyrics I find a bit like, yeah.
No, I'm not shocked by it.
No, I'm not shocked by it at all. I just don't really want to hear it. I just don't. I liked it a lot more when I was 16. I'll say that.
And then Marilyn Manson came along, I remember, and he took it, and I think he made it even worse for me. So
did he cover it?
He used the same thing in Be Obscene, didn't he? Be Obscene, Obscene.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he actually? Was it kind of?
No. I think it is like a
clearly a
cheerleader chant.
Right. Okay.
They probably use in sports. I mean, they haven't come up with that.
Right. Okay. Of course.
So because that was quite a big hit, wasn't it, in the rock clubs back in the day?
The rock clubs.
In the rock clubs that we used to frequent.
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with Marilyn Manson post Mechanical Animals, really.
Well, that's the only album you need to.
Maybe that's one we could do actually at some point. Is rank Marilyn Manson.
Well, I think let's do it now. Mechanical Animals is number 1. That's that done. Hollywood number 2, maybe.
Antichrist Superstar, would it be number 2?
No,
anyway, let's not talk about
Hollywood.
Let's not talk about.
Let's not talk about Marilyn Manson.
Hollywood's shit anyway.
It's not. It's got some good parts.
It Smells Like Children's better than that.
I don't like Marilyn Manson. Let's move on. And then this one, of course, is famous, Very Easy, the Commodores Lionel Richie cover,
and which they effortlessly do.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the greatest covers, by a rock band of a soul band, I think, of all time.
Yeah, it's funny that that
not that many more spring to mind.
That gets played on the radio a lot, doesn't it? I think a lot of people just assume that's the original.
Well, it's so close to, but the vocal is actually quite. I mean, Lionel Richie is an incredible singer.
Yeah.
He'd be a good one to do a ranking video.
He's dancing on the ceiling,
wouldn't it? We're covering off lots. So it's like 2 bonus ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm happy to have that as number 1
because it doesn't really let up right to the end. I love the
Midnight Cowboy kind of slows it down a bit, doesn't it? But I do like it.
I like having
a great
that kind of coda at the end. To kind of like, I don't know. Jizz Lob is great. Crack Hitler.
Yeah.
Small Victory is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think it's that push and pull that's going on between the band, which makes for a really compelling album. The production's great as well. It's a bit of its time, but it's great.
It's a step up from The Real Thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound. The Real Thing is an uncomfortable listen, I think, these days.
I don't know. If turn it up loud, it sounds great.
I can't turn it up loud. People live in my house. Listen to it on headphones.
If The Real Thing comes on, I don't know if you're at a gig or something, and it's still great, isn't it? But it doesn't have that. Doesn't have the production values of something like this and what came after. But yeah, for me, I don't think they ever topped this. Really, looking back,
I think they did. I think they topped it before they split up the first time.
I think they split up at the right time. And they were quite wise to do that.
I think they'd run their course and they peaked.
Interestingly, I read some reviews of Album of the Year when it came out.
What, contemporary reviews?
No, of when it came out.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
And they were savage, absolutely savage.
Yeah, I do remember. At the time. It wasn't
really poor.
But then you got to remember the time it came out. What everyone was expecting it to sound like was maybe a little bit more grungy.
What year was it again?
So it's 90. You've got it over there, haven't you?
99.
There'll be an edit here. Most definitely. I'll say 97.
Oh, sorry, 97.
Yeah, 97.
So what do you think they were hoping it would sound like in 97?
I think they were expecting it to be a little bit sort of, more influenced by the grunge era.
You think? Or a bit more pop?
maybe. I don't think more pop. I mean, what was big in '97?
Chili Peppers, I guess.
I wouldn't want it to sound like that. No one would want it to sound like that. Maybe they were expecting it to be a bit heavier. Maybe they were expecting Korn. Maybe they were expecting that kind of thing. Because people do lump them in with new metal in some circles, don't they?
It's just a bit. I remember I was reading these reviews. It's like, that's ridiculous. I mean, they were literally saying it's juvenile crap.
What,
like,
this album?
Yeah.
I can see why people might say that about some parts of King for a Day, and even some parts of
You
Angel
could say
Dust.
that about Last Cup of
But
Sorrow.
this is absolutely the most mature
Ashes to Ashes.
sounding album. That's my argument for my liking it, because I
Yeah.
think it's their most mature work.
Yeah.
And I think that as I've grown older, my favourite album has changed from Angel Dust to King for a Day, and now it's Album of the Year.
Interesting.
As I've got older with these albums,
So
my taste has changed.
Up until fairly
that doesn't
recent-
usually happen. For
Up
me,
until
actually.
fairly recently, my favourites were Album of the Year,
Yeah.
Angel Dust, and King for a Day, and so mine's done that.
So you've probably regressed then. I think you've become more immature as you've got older, due to
I don't
your
think
choices.
so. I think, you know, when you listen back to it fresh, because, you know, I've given them a bit of a break for a while, because I think I overdid it with Faith No More for a number of years.
Yeah.
And when you come back to it fresh, I think
yeah, it was something we listened to a hell of a lot back in the day. Wasn't
yeah,
it? I think.
it was. And obviously, you know, we've both been kind of keeping an eye on their respective solo careers as well, haven't we? And
Yeah, yeah. So, Jim Martin doesn't really have one.
he did do an album, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
What's it called? It was a weird thing, wasn't it? I remember the artwork was really odd.
It wasn't.
I remember it being quite poor.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And is he like a pumpkin farmer now or
I
something?
think he is. Yeah, I think that was always his dream anyway, wasn't it, to go off and be a farmer? So.
It'd be really nice, because the nice thing when they did the last time they toured a few years back is before Chuck Mosley died, they did get him up to do it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Which was really nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It would be nice if they could convince Jim Martin to come up and play some songs, because he was a great guitarist.
I don't know if they're on terms or not, but it's a lot of water's gone under the bridge, isn't it? In that period,
it's been a long time, hasn't it?
I can't imagine they've been in regular contact with the chap. So
Maybe the past couple of years maybe brings things into focus a little bit. Maybe you know, they think, well, if we don't do it now, when will we do it?
Well, or if they ever tour again. I mean, they had a tour, and I think it's been cancelled a couple of times. Once due to COVID, and now due to problems with Mike Patton.
Yeah.
So it is, you know, it's probably up in the air whether or not we will see them back together again.
Yeah,
now, I
obviously
don't know.
we, you know, send out our best wishes to Mike Patton and
Yeah.
hope he gets better. And so okay, so that's Faith No More ranked. Quite a happy consensus in the end.
Kind of.
So next one is going to be my choice, and so I've decided we're going to do Meatloaf,
Okay.
given that we've sadly lost him recently, and it was
Yeah.
only a year or so after Jim Steinman passed as well. And I happen to know that there's quite a few Meatloaf albums you haven't heard.
The latest stuff.
Later stuff.
yeah.
There's some stuff from the 80s as well, which
I mean,
is interesting.
Obviously, I know every note of Hell at the back of my hand,
And the second one probably.
and Dead Ringer as well.
Dead
yeah.
Ringer, yeah.
Yeah, those are my
So yeah,
albums from when I was a kid. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see, I guess, how those later albums compare. So we'll do that for the next episode.
thanks for watching. Bye.